The time's come, says the International Labour Organization, the ILO, to convince the world that fulfilling and productive employment is at the heart of sustainable development. You might well say, well, yes, we'd all agree on that, but unemployment is high, the recession is barely over, and new jobs are being created at an appallingly slow rate. Well, on Tuesday, on the occasion of the UN General Assembly, the ILO is to launch a campaign promoting decent work, and Guy Ryder, who's now joining me in the C-suite, is the Director General. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you.
Look, you're calling for sustainable jobs, social protections, long-term employment prospects. Everybody wants that.
Well, that's the first point. Everybody wants it. And I think that's not something to be neglected. There was a poll in 160 countries the other day, citizens around the world. What's your number one objective in life? Jobs for me, jobs for the kids. I think the big problem is, can we really believe today that it can be done? Or is the problem so great, more than 200 million out of work around the world?
But what's the barrier here? Because if I listen to politicians, particularly in the West, they talk about it's all job creation, it's all job creation.
But it doesn't happen, does it?
So why not?
Well, I think the problem is we've relegated employment to a residual. That is to say, let's get the financial system sorted out, let's get public finances in order, the jobs will come. Let's deregulate labour markets. There was a time, it's not that long ago, when governments made full employment the centre of their policy objectives. And frankly, if they didn't, they wouldn't get elected. I think we've now, and that's the objective of the meetings in New York this week, we've now got to remind the international community, make the case to governments that it's possible to do this, to get jobs back at the centre of the agenda.
What does it require? What does it require? Because I've read the documents on this, and indeed I'll be chairing the panel tomorrow.
Great.
You're going to be talking about this, but what does it require from governments in terms of implementing these policies?
Well, it requires a whole series of things. It requires the macroeconomics to be got right. We've got this famous struggle, sort of tug of war, between austerity on the one hand, job creation and growth on the other. We've got active labour market policies, we've got the problems of education, we've got enterprises sitting on massive piles of uninvested money. We've got to get investment moving again. So it requires a whole series of things. I actually think confidence is one thing. There's got to be a statement of intent that we're going to get the world back to work.
Okay.
That matters.
We've also seen in Europe at the moment some strikes.
Yeah.
We've seen strikes at Air France, KLM, one of the airline strikes. We've seen strikes at Lufthansa. Now, this is the opposite side of that employment situation. These are high-paying jobs, admittedly, with airlines under restructuring. So what's going wrong?
Well, without going into the merits of the individual disputes, which I wouldn't want to do, you've clearly got a situation where enterprises are under pressure. Air France is an example. A restructuring process is underway. The question is, how do you do that? Do you sit down and talk to people and work out a solution that's going to work, the social dialogue option, or do you just try and push something through? People are going to react, even if they're relatively well off today.
Right.
If there's a threat to their, what they've got, they're going to react negatively. So we've actually got to find, I think, a greater consensus in our societies, in our enterprises, in our workplaces, about how to make things better. I think starting to talk again is a big deal. That's gone out of fashion.
You're talking to me?
That's in fashion.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much indeed. Ryder, joining me from the ILO. Good to see you, sir. Now